Right folks, here we've got a lovely Wondermatics Face the Music, 1969 from what I've been told. Let me get the camera straight. And it was in a pretty poor state when I got it. If you look on YouTube, there is another video from a friend that I bought it off, and it was in a bit of a state. He was very disappointed with it. It looked like it had been stood in water for a while. The bottom was rotted out, the bottom of the catch box was rotted out. The wood was flaking off the front because it's plywood front. It's plywood cabinet was flaking off. Corners were a bit of a mess, and generally I was at the point where I thought, well, do I build a new cabinet or do I restore the old one? And I thought, well, I'll scrape what the worst of what's rotted out at the bottom and just see what I've got to work with. And it turns out that there was still a bit in the bottom that could be used. The cash box, I've had to build a completely new one, and a lot of the parts for the workings were actually missing when I got it. And I think it had been, somebody had butchered it for pieces and what have you, I think, in the past, and then they decided to try and get it working to sell. And all they'd done is rather than having the actual mechanism there working, the actual feature, they basically bypassed the feature so that when the balls went into the reserve, which would normally have gone into those holes, it went straight into lose. So basically you'd only got 4 chances of winning the 4. There's a reserve, win-win, reserve, win-win, lost. You'd got 4 places where the coin could go in and a ball would go in and you get a win. And the win was basically just 3p, and that was the maximum you could get. So it was in a pretty poor state. The coin entry was all, the chrome was a mess, the paint was a mess. Where it's got the 1D, the chrome had worn off and you could see the brass through it and a little bit of chrome here and there, so that was a mess. And to be honest, when I looked at it, I thought, now what am I going to do with this? Do I build a new cabinet? Do I try and restore the old one? And I thought, well, it would probably be quicker to build a new cabinet, but what I've done is I've kept the old cabinet, but where it had rotted out, I've treated it with woodworm killer, and then I treated it with a wood hardener. The base, I scraped off what I could, of the what was rotted and what have you. Found a reasonable level to work with, and then what I've done is I've used resin, same as you use for fiberglass, but resin, and then a metal plate. I've cut a metal plate to fit perfectly in the bottom, and basically set that in exactly the right position. And then I used a bit of more resin so that where it joins to the wood at the edge here at the front, so when you're pulling the coins out, it comes out nice and smooth. I just poured a bit of resin in the edge there, tilted it forward so the resin would go at an angle, and basically it's worked out absolutely beautiful. So now it's all painted and everything. When you pull the coins out, they come out lovely. There's no sticking against anything or anything. The chrome work on the rest of it wasn't too bad. I've cleaned that up, but I did take it to pieces to do it because I had to, with bits missing out the inside. There was quite a few bits missing, major parts and what have you, as I said, that meant the feature wouldn't work and what have you. And I've had to basically work out how that actually works, what's supposed to be there, what it's supposed to do. Bit of a nightmare because there's no information on it at all. There was just a picture on the internet that you couldn't even zoom in to see what it said on it. And what I've done is luckily I had got another Wondermatics. It was a different game. It's an older one, and it's called Win and Place, and it's got a very similar feature, but it hasn't got that many holes. It's got 4 on this one, but it's got 2 on the Win and Place, and very similar action, similar mechanism, so I could get an idea of what's supposed to be in here, and managed to, with a lot of patience, make new parts for it, and got rid of the bypass, which made everything go into lose, the reserves go into lose and whatever. And I've basically got it working, and it's taken a lot. It's done a lot of hair pulling and whatever, trying to get it to work properly. Even the ball release, that was badly worn and it was sticking in the back and whatever. Been a lot of problems. I've had to, one of the little chutes that the coins go in, balls go in rather, at the top, the lost one, somebody had obviously removed it at some point, and when they tried to solder it back in, they hadn't got it exactly in the right place, so the ball was sticking when it went in there, and also I think they hadn't soldered it properly and it was loose. Anyway, that's been stripped, cleaned and resoldered in place properly. The payout unit, I've had to completely rebuild a new one because the old one was on new penny. It had been converted to new penny, I forgot to say that at the start. So basically I've had to completely build a new coin tube and on a pay slide out of brass. They use brass because obviously I think it's partly because of its non-magnetic material and what have you, and also it's a bit smoother and a bit used to being moved back and forth without you know, leaving a load of residue to jam it up in the in the future and what have you. Plus it doesn't rust as well. Anyway, that could be a load of rubbish that I've just told you, but it sounds good to me. Anyway, as I say, chrome's come up lovely. I've repainted where it got around the 1D, and to get, I tried painting the 1D. Even with hammerite, it still got chipped away when you're putting coins in and what have you. Eventually ended up with marks on it. So what I thought I'd try is nothing to lose. I stuck it on the my belt sander, and basically it's taken a smooth layer off of the surface and exposed a lovely brass finish, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to leave it like that. Anyway, the woodwork, I re-veneered where it had come off. I had to cut off the old stuff and re-veneered where the new stuff, then repainted it all. Cabinet, I've had to make metal. I cut some metal angled corners for the edges, and what they've done is they've strengthened it up. I've also used a glue to hold them on as well as the screwed on, so that strengthened everything up, made a lovely job of it. The bottom, now it's all painted, absolutely beautiful. New cash box, and to be honest, I'm over the moon with it. I mean, I'm glad I didn't go to the extent of building a new cabinet now, because I think this looks fantastic considering it's all pretty much original. All the parts I've had to make for the inside, I've made them as near as, you know, to looking how they should do from what I can see. I'm going by the Win and Place light, you know, I've gone by that too. There's a lot of fettling to be done, and as you was putting it all back together, you was finding that this was in the way of that, and those bits of wire and whatever that activate these little feature bits. You know, you'd got to worm them round where they're supposed to be, and you didn't know till you put it back together and you find that that's in the way of that, and that's in the way of that. And there's been a lot of fettling. Anyway, it's all been worth it because it absolutely works beautifully now. And since I've sorted out all the bits and pieces and the wear and the where there's little pits and things like that, it's not failed to work yet. Now I say that because every time I mention something like that, the chances are you'll play it and something will go wrong. So let's see if I can be proved wrong. I'm going to put all these in and we'll have a few goes on it, and then what I'll do is I'll open it up and I'll let you have a look at the inside. Let's have a few goes and see how we get on. See, that wouldn't release before every time. Now and again it'd jam up and what have you, and the balls would stick at the top here because the little part that I'd made for in there wasn't holding the ball in the right place, so the next one was sticking on it. Anyway, I won't go on. Now that's gone into a win, so if I turn this, you get your 3 pence out. And the ball that's in the feature has moved to the next step, so that's actually on the last bit there, which means it'll pay. Now there's no balls in there, it won't move any further. So I've got 6 pence for that one win there, which isn't too bad, is it? Let's have another go. It's gone in lost. The idea of it is if you get it into the reserves, the ball goes into the first feature there, face where it says pays 12. But it doesn't pay 12 because you've got to get the whole feature to complete. But it goes into there. Now if you get it in the reserve again, it'll just go straight past that one and into lost. If you get it into a win, it moves that ball from there to there, which leaves that open again. Next reserve goes into there. Next win moves them both forward, and so on until and if you're lucky, you'll get all 3 of them, right, full. And then if you get a win, it drops them down to this one, which means that they'll all pay. So you get the full 12 pence if you get that win. But you've got to sort of interact them. You've got to have a reserve win, and gradually fill that up. Doesn't always work that way, but let's have a look anyway. And a reserve, so that's gone into the first hole. So we've got nothing in the others, not at the moment. So what we need now is a win. And we've got a win. How amazing. Now let's move that down to the next one. So what we want now is we don't want another win because it'll move it to the next one and leave a gap. So we want to get the reserve again next time. I'll get them out. Put that there. We're doing very well on the wins. So once you get used to it, see we've got a reserve now, we've got 2 in there. Now ideally now we want another win. That'll move them 2 down and leave a gap there for the next reserve. And then once we've got that, we want a win. And then once you get a win, all 4 of the balls will come out and you'll get 3p for each one. I was just blown away with this game. I just think it's amazing. Now you see that's just gone into reserve there and there's already a ball in there. So it's gone straight into lost. So you don't win anything there. Ideally we want to win. And we've got one. Now this will show you. Now they've both moved down to there. And I need to get another one in reserve now. And then that'll be the jackpot, 12p. If we get a win after that. Let's see. And we've got a reserve, how amazing. So that's 3 balls in there now, so that's the feature. But we need to get them to move down to there. That takes another win, and that means that we'll get the 3p for the win, 3p for one, 3p for the other, 3p for the other, 12p altogether. Let's go. And the reserve has gone into lost because it's obviously full. And a lost. But if you saw it like this in an arcade, it would be the ideal thing. All you've got to do is get one win and you've got 12p. Quite a jackpot for you. And another reserve, so we've lost that. So it does take money, you see. And another reserve, so that's lost. And a lost. We are putting all our money back. One good thing about it though, it is actually showing that it's working properly. Hasn't let me down yet. So I hate saying that because sometimes you say that and you're jinxing it. And a lost. We are putting our money back. And another reserve which goes to lost. What a brilliant game. Oh, we've got a win, so that means 12p. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it, no more. 12p. How about that? Isn't that lovely? And all I've got left is 3 coins. Well, I'm not gonna bore you with that again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you the insides, and you'll see just how complicated these things are, and what with it not being complete, I've had to figure out where everything goes and make parts to actually get it working. So let me take this off the stand and we'll have a look. Let's have a look inside, see if I can do this one-handed. So undo there, and pull it open. I've got to hold it because there's a lot of weight there. Now look at that. That's all pretty much been replaced. The coin entry, where the coin goes down there, I've had to modify that slightly, but it's original. That's original. The coin hopper, the tube there, the top and the bottom, all new. Paste slide, all new. And that's brass. I hadn't got a piece the right size, so I had to solder 3 pieces together and then mill it to the size that I wanted. Cut it and drill it out, to get it there. All those bars, they're all new. There weren't any of those in there, except for the one that releases the ball, which is down there. And other than that, everything else we've had to get working. That's all been screwed back together. It wasn't actually, the ratchet piece at the bottom wasn't working. It had been disconnected so that it would just go back and forth without sticking, because whoever had it, I don't think they either didn't know or they couldn't be bothered to put it right. Bottom where the coin goes down, all nice and newly painted. And then we've got the cash box now. Look at that. That's all new with a lock on it and everything. It slots into the side. Just sits on the bottom. It's at an angle so that when the door is shut, this piece here, this metal piece here, goes up against it. You can see where the mark is there. And then let's shut it up. You can see all the bottom. Look how nice that is. So I am over the moon, very pleased with it. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I was in 2 minds whether to get it and even bother to do it up, but I think it's such a rare one. And I was attracted by the fact that it's a multi-ball game. And I thought, well, you can't let that go. You've got to do something with it. And I think it's worked. I think I've done a good job. As you can see, the corners, metal corners, nice and strong. Finished it all off, even shaped it to the front and whatever. How lovely is that though? I'm very pleased with it. I haven't shut the door, that's why it looks a gap there. Don't take notice of that. But then you can see that lovely brass finish. I think that was it was just I just tried it to see what it looked like, but I'm very pleased with that because it looks absolutely fantastic. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and if there's anything if anybody's got one of these, I'll be amazed. But if there's anything you need to know, you know, leave a message for me and what have you, and comment on it or whatever, and I'll see if I can help out. If I can help out in any way, I can take detailed photographs, things like that. There is another video on, if you have a look, it's by a friend of mine. He's did the video of when he got it, and if you look at the state of it, it'll show you more details of how bad it really was. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers for now.